I was scared.
There's definitely something going on here.
He says he hears noises.
It's starting getting really cold.
Some sort of negative energy.
You are dead asleep. All of a sudden, you wake up in a sweat. A feeling that something isn't right has disturbed you, but what is it? You feel a general sense of unease. Flipping the light switch on, you see your closet doors swinging open. Thinking back, you swear the door has been closed before. Is it just a coincidence, or was some other force there? In many old buildings, you're bound to hear a few stories about ghosts haunting the premises. Emerson College is no exception to that. In this video documentary, you will hear the accounts of several students that tell stories of their own Emerson ghosts. Each reenactment is based on true accounts from Emerson students. The first story you will hear is of the freight girl who allegedly haunts the elevators of the little building. Justina, a senior LB-RA, shares her story with us.
The story of Elevator Girl, basically, or Freight Girl, because she was in the freight elevator. When the little building was being constructed, there was this little girl who would come to work every day with her dad, who was working on the building. And basically they just had like the stairs working, but there was an empty elevator shaft still because they hadn't put them in yet. And she had a little red ball. And one day she was bouncing her little red ball down the hallway and showing a serious lapse in judgment. When it rolled down the elevator shaft, she leapt after it and fell to her death. And I think they say that she haunts like the 4th floor, is what I've heard.
Is this story true? Could there be more spooky tales to come, or are these just tall tales?
The story I heard was told to me by my friends who were RAs in the little building. It was very scary. Basically, it was the end of the school year and all of the RAs have to stay on for like 2 weeks after all of the residents leave the building because it's still senior week and we have to clean out the building. But it was the last day of the year, so they had to pack up all their stuff, and when they went to bed, they unplugged all of their things from the walls because that's what you have to do, because that way you can just pack up your stuff in the morning. And the next morning, my one friend, Cody, he woke up, and when he woke up, all of his lights and everything were plugged into the wall, and the light was shining on a picture of his dad who had died the year before. And he had scratches running up and down his arms, which was really scary. But then the scariest part is that then he went to talk to his floor partner, and the same thing had happened in her room. All of her lights had been plugged back in and turned on, and she had scratches on her arms too.
What could account for these peculiar scratches? Jess Silva, also a senior and an RA on the 6th floor of Piano Row, can perhaps offer an answer.
First and foremost, I like to think that I grew up on the 5th floor of the LB. That's the first place I ever lived when I came to Emerson, and apparently it was like the hot spot for all the happenings. I'm sure you've heard of Freight Girl and all that stuff. That's child's play. Word on the street is that several times on the 5th floor there have been residents that have had like submitted reports to their RAs or whatever that in the middle of the night they just wake up and they see at the foot of their bed like a man standing in like a white coat with like dentist tools, and he just goes, "Not now, later." And that's it. He just "not now, later" is all he ever says. And the events may or may not be tied to the fact that students have also woken up with scratches on themselves, but for no reason at all, whether they scratch themselves or something else scratched them. But if you have dentist tools and you're like, "Not now, later," and you wake up with scratches on a different night, I would have to say that they were connected.
Similar to Jess's shadowy dentist figure, 6th floor RA building RAs Justina and Ryan Fodder also reported seeing something ghost-like.
We're working on our welcome board for the Welcome to Six Gun City, the Wild Wild West.
When it started getting really cold, which was, I mean, the AC was on, so it was already...
Yeah, but the AC like notoriously does not work in our building. It was high summer. It was high noon.
And it started getting really cold. Drafty too, like there were windows open, but because we were the only two people here...
the draft was weird because it was in the hallway.
Right. And like the elevators, they weren't...
Yeah.
No one was here.
No one else was here but us.
Right. So then I was looking around to see if like someone had opened a door or something, and that's when I saw this like really tall black figure just run between the end of the hallway, you know, where like there's a T at the end of the hall, and it just like flew
It just
by.
like ran around the corner.
Yeah.
This is not the only report of a mysterious figure by an Emerson College student. Freshman Ryan Wenke had a frightening experience of his own that led him to believe he was in the presence of a ghost.
Alright, well, I was in my dorm room late at night. I went to bed. Then I was awoken about maybe 3 hours later at around 3 a.m. by like something blowing in my face. Like it was like stronger than wind, and there was no windows open. Both my roommates were in bed. It wasn't, you know, no one was playing a trick on me or anything. It was just like a gust of wind blowing my face, and I opened my eyes and I saw this like black, like shadow figure hovering over me, and that's when I thought that maybe like my roommate who's on the top bunk was like maybe he went to the bathroom, he's going back up or something. So, but I checked and they were both there, and I pretty much just said, I'm not going to deal with this. I turned the other side and just fell asleep, but it really was a realistic thing, and I don't know what that was, but it's something that I remembered and impacted me. Because I'm not a strong believer of ghosts, but I'm up to the possibility that something, you know, some things could occur. And again, no windows were open and there was no fan, so can't really explain it, but that's my story.
Known as the second most haunted place in Boston, second only to the Boston Common, Emerson's own Cutler Majestic Theater has had an urban legend of its own. Freshman Alex Spenko tells his story of the ghost-haunted theater.
Yeah, I heard about the Cutler Majestic Ghost. It was it scared me the first time I heard it because the Cutler is obviously a great part of Emerson, but it was basically the first ghost story I heard when I came here, and I heard the stories that a mayor of Boston keeled over and died during a performance there, and apparently some people say that you can still see his ghost sitting in his seat, the seat that he was sitting at during the performance. And I've also heard stories about this secret room that they have up there in the balcony area that is apparently, whenever you enter it, you just get this overwhelming feeling of dread and just sheer terror. I'm way too scared to go up there. I think I would like to graduate without ever going up there. I'm perfectly happy with that.
Two Emerson ghost stories are particularly well known among the college's communities. The first is the legend of the 13th floor piano row ghosts, as told by Jess and freshman Alex Yo.
Piano row ghosts, the ones that I've heard about, when Piano Row was just being finished, I guess it wasn't too long ago, that true story, a few of the construction workers fell from some of the scaffolding outside the building and died in the fall. And apparently, legend has it that their ghosts still haunt Piano Row buildings as well.
Well, I was here when the scaffolding collapsed, so the fact that that incident is still fresh, and they say that the 13th floor was the floor where the construction workers were, the ones that, there were 3 construction workers on the scaffolding, and it said that one of them jumped into the building on time, the other 2 came down with the scaffolding. So they say that the 13th floor is there's like eerie noises, and sometimes like the lights don't work or something ridiculous. Karem, an RA in Piano Row currently, lived on the 13th floor last year, and he like refuses to live on that floor ever again because he says he hears noises.
So what do you think? Are these students' ghost stories true? Are there really other forces with us? Or are they just that? Stories. Only you can be the judge.